and they are becoming now central in the modern battlefield. The survivability of the aircraft and the ability for them to bring the mission rapidly to the user is key.
Welcome to this special edition of the Shephard Defence Podcast, brought to you in partnership with Aeronautics Group. In today's conversation, we're exploring how cutting-edge tactical unmanned aerial systems are reshaping the modern battlefield. We'll cover everything from loitering munitions to multi-domain ISR and dig into what's powering aeronautics technology today and where it's heading next. Joining me is Dan Slasky, President and CEO of Aeronautics Group. Dan, first of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So Dan, let's just start off with the broader landscape. I'm sort of curious to know what's driving the growing demand for tactical unmanned systems, and how is aeronautics, shaping its approach in response to those changing operational needs?
So that's a good question. If you look at the various conflicts occurring worldwide today, you see some common denominators across the entire, I would call it UAV space. Number one is the male UAVs, which are historically have a crucial role in the battlefield, have shown a significant part of the weakness in that they're quite easy to shoot down. Each one of these systems are tens of millions of dollars in cost, and of course, the lost ISR capability when that happens, and the moral effect. So that is happening more and more all over the various domains. And here, many years ago, some very smart people put a roadmap to develop the tactical domain called, Group 2, Group 3, and they are becoming now central in the modern battlefield, enabling to do missions that previously will only be performed by larger UAVs. Now it can be formed by the tactical level, with all of the advantages of the tactical aspect, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. But I think that has changed significantly the landscape of how the UAVs are being used. In the end of the day, the survivability of the aircraft and the ability for them to bring the mission rapidly to the user is key. And this is what we're seeing a trend in all over the place today.
And then in terms of your product set, I guess the Orbiter 5 is the latest addition to the family of systems. A family that's been in service for a number of years. But what's different about the Orbiter 5 in terms of its design, role, capabilities compared to the other models in the family?
Yeah. So our Orbiter family, it's quite unique because we have a very similar architecture. They're kind of what's called flying wings, which have inherent advantages in various aspects. The Orbiter 5 specifically is our largest tactical UAV. We debuted this 2 years ago at Le Bourget, and since then we've had production orders, and the system is currently deployed in active operations, successfully performing roles that were also traditionally handled by larger male systems. And we actually identified that approximately 80% of the male UAV missions can be done by the Orbiter 5, which it's a fraction of the cost. It can be deployed all over the place. It doesn't need a runway, and it can be. It's much more difficult to detect, and of course shoot down. So enabling a lot of these systems to be actively integrated onto the Orbiter 5, because the Orbiter 5 has a very strong engine, which enables it to also power different and advanced sensors that were previously much larger sensors, and only for larger aircraft. Now that can be deployed on the Orbiter 5 from the various electro-optic, radar, and so forth. So The Orbiter 5 is really, in a relatively short time, been deployed actively in operations.
And then we've also seen other recent developments, around the whole Orbiter family, including the Orbiter 2, the addition of a loitering munition variant. What does this activity tell us about how those mission demands are evolving and how the company is kind of adapting to that changing needs?
Yeah, so we are very active in the loitering munition activities, but our sweet spot is actually, it's a UAV. Okay, it's a UAV which is also a loitering munition, which enables you to have large loitering time. Okay, and actually operate the loitering munition as an aircraft with all the advantages, meaning longer endurance, meaning all different types of I would say, handling the target in a sequential way, and then deciding when to go in as a munition. This is different from loitering munitions, which are launched and they're one way. And then you're very limited to time targets. We can wait a long time until the target is there, or we understand what the target is, or abort. And this is very important. So the Orbiter 2 LM loitering munition is one such an example, and it actually works in tandem with the Orbiter 2 ISR, and they actually work in unison to give the mission the best flexibility and time dependent performance that is required. So this is part of another family, okay, the loitering munitions that we have on UAV. So that's a vector. Another vector, which is also very strong, is what is termed as the VTOL, okay, vertical takeoff and landing. We have a family of VTOL systems that actually take the same kind of idea of using a UAV, a very long endurance UAV. So take the Orbiter 4, for example, which has a 24-hour endurance in its regular standard form, which is launched by a launcher and recovered by a parachute. We have a kit that we add on to the Orbiter 4, which turns it into a very flexible, dynamic VTOL system. And there you have over 12 hours of endurance, multiple payloads together and simultaneously, very quiet, and it's battle proven, significantly battle proven, with phenomenal results. We also have the Orbiter 3, which is the same kind of idea. It's an electrical system, but also with a VTOL capability. That there too is just all over the world, battle proven. And we take all these together with, we have also a drone, a very large drone we call the Octoper, which is also VTOL. So we actually look at the whole VTOL domain, also for naval applications. Okay, we're operating on naval vessels, and this is something that's also a vector going forward.
So I guess, as you know, you operate in a sort of crowded, fast evolving tactical UAS marketplace. Can you give us a sense of how the company's approaching the overall challenge of being positioned in the market, and I guess not just through your platforms, but through that kind of wider ecosystem that you've talked about?
Exactly. It's not just a platform, and this is how we look at ourselves as a company. Okay, we provide a mission solution. Okay? A mission solution. One aspect is the platform, of course, but the other aspects are the ground control station, the communication, the payloads, the engines, and the whole mission planning, the simulators. And this is what we do end to end in the company. Not only that, we also have subsidiaries that we have complete, integration on them with which supply all of our subsystems, whether it's payloads, whether it's communications, engines, and so forth. So we actually have an ecosystem, internal ecosystem, end to end, which enables us also to direct our R&D accordingly. When we can direct the R&D, both of the platform and of the mission and of the ground station and the sensors, so in the end of the day, you get the most optimized system for the user, as opposed to buying off the shelf what there is, and then you get something that's not optimized, and in the end of the day, the customer will not get the best system. So here we have a lot of investment in these areas. We also have strategic depth with our interaction with Rafael. Okay, And it's an incredible synergy there, both on the mission systems and other systems that we integrate with them. A lot of activity on that area. And of course, we have spiral development of the systems. In the end of the day, we have a very strong connection with our customers, who actually are the people on the battlefield, and they're feeding back to us their lessons learned, their future needs, and this all comes together in a spiral development process, because our systems are actually very generic as far as their ability to be upgraded constantly. And this is something we've seen over the past few years and been very, very fruitful in that manner. So, I guess the bottom line, end-to-end mission is the word, okay? And we have the solutions for all those aspects.
Dan, that's a great answer. And I guess before we wrap up, what are the two key messages that you'd like defense leaders and listeners to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, I think the number one aspect is takeaway is that the tactical UAV space is huge. Okay, it's the future out of necessity, and also out of lessons learned in the conflicts around the world. And it's not just in one place. It's very interesting. Unfortunately, the world isn't quite turmoil today, right? But if you look at the takeaways there, we see the importance of this space, and that's one thing that I want to stress. It's for ISR and all various other aspects. In that we talked about the loitering munitions. I think that the second point is, I would say, there are many different UAV systems out there. Okay, many different types. But in the end of the day, we need to see what survives on the battlefield. And coming out of Ukraine, there's just so much information about the thousands and thousands and thousands that are downed every month. That's huge amounts of cost and effort, and also collateral damage. And the reasons why that so many are down is because they are not specifically designed for these kind of battlefields. And what we're doing here is we're designing resilient systems, both in the operation and the communication and the detection and the performance and the precision, okay, which enables them to be real factors in the battlefield and not a statistic. And maybe, to wrap up, from my point of view, the reason that we're able to do this is because we have a group of incredible people here, young, energetic, with a huge amount of vision. And that's the heart of what we do is our people, and we have really proud of how they've taken the company to new levels. We've expanded and grown significantly recently, and that's the key reason why we are where we are.
Excellent, Dan. That's a great answer, and I mean that brings us to the end of this episode. We've heard how aeronautics is shaping the tactical UAS landscape with platforms like the Orbiter 5, but also how it's a systems mindset that's helping customers to meet those mission needs with speed and confidence. So Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tony. Nice to be here.
And thanks to you all for listening. Be sure to check out more of our podcasts and stay tuned for future episodes spotlighting innovation in the defense space. Until next time.